Imagine being taken on what you assumed is going to be a fun trip between yourself, your father, and your half sibling, only for you to realize that it's no fun trip. You are actually attending your father's beach wedding. Yes, so this is the true life story of a girl child named Linda. Everything you're going to hear in this story is true, except for one thing: the name. I switched the name to Linda. I was given permission to share this story, but at the same time, the owner of this story wants to stay anonymous. So this is Linda's story. Linda's mother met Linda's father with a 5-month-old baby. This is to say, Linda's father already had a 5-month-old baby from a previous marriage before they met. After they met, they dated for a while, they got married, and Linda's mother became the woman who took care of this 5-month-old baby. But then, this is where it starts to get, dark and starts to go downhill. Linda's mother realized that her husband did not want her to have a child of her own, and each time she got pregnant, he would make sure she gets, an abortion. He will make sure she gets rid of the pregnancy through herbs and whatever means necessary. He did not want her to have her own child. But, she's a woman. At some point, she got tired. She got fed up. She wanted to have her own child, So after much argument, verbal abuse, for example, Linda's father usually said things like, you always get pregnant like a rat, very abusive things to Linda's mother, But as a woman, she wanted to have her own baby because she was already taking care of, Linda's half sibling. Remember, Linda's mother met Linda's father with a 5-month-old baby from his previous marriage. Now, Linda's mother felt like, oh, you know what? I've had enough. I'm pregnant now and I am going to have this child. So she stood her ground and she gave birth to Linda. And this was how Linda came into this world and into the picture. Well, while Linda's mother was pregnant with Linda, the marriage had, started having cracks and chaos, and, it was full of drama at this point because remember, Linda's father did not want her mother to have a child. And what was the next thing Linda's father did? Linda's father sent Linda's half-sibling back to her maternal home. As soon as he did this, the main abuse began. Now remember, Linda's mother is pregnant. Linda is here. 9 months is gone. Fast forward to 9 months. Linda is here now. And Linda's father refused to, take any responsibility for Linda. Linda's father, even though he was, like a senior accountant working with a bank, he was financially okay, right? He refused to provide money in the house, food in the house for both Linda and her mom. Linda's mom had to go out there, hustle, hawk, do whatever it is she could to make sure she was able to feed Linda at least pap. At least pap, right? Now, Linda was diagnosed of kwashiorkor under her father's roof. Remember this and keep it in mind because we're going to backtrack to this point. Linda was diagnosed of kwashiorkor while in her father's house, right? And, the abuse, it kept going. It wasn't stopping. Linda's grandmother had to step in and talk some sense into Linda's mother, telling her, you need to leave this marriage. At this point, you're not doing anything in this house, Take your child and leave, because if you continue to stay in this house, you might pay with your life and the life of your child. Because remember, Linda is now sick. She's been diagnosed with kwashiorkor. What is the point living under his roof if he is not going to be responsible for his daughter or care for his daughter? And then Linda's mother finally summoned courage to leave the house. At this point, Linda was, getting to 1 year old. She was getting to 1 year old, right? So Linda's mother left the house, left the marriage, and sent Linda to stay with her grandmother while she went to, hustle in Lagos, right? And one day, Linda's father, after, a long time, right? Linda's father shows up to Linda's grandmother's house. What did he come to do? He came to tell Linda's grandmother that he is being transferred to Calabar and he wants to move to Calabar with Linda and Linda's half sibling. That means he wants to take Linda and then he would bring back, you remember, Linda's mother met him with a 5-month-old child who was sent back to her maternal family when Linda's mother got pregnant with Linda, right? So now he wants to bring them back and move to Calabar with them. After much deliberations and considerations, Linda's mother agreed. They handed these children over to their father, who took them with him and moved to Calabar. Linda's mother made this decision because at the time she couldn't properly care for Linda. She didn't have the money to send her to school, to buy her food and all of that. And that was why she decided that 2-year-old Linda could go ahead and, go to Calabar. It's Linda's father we're talking about. It's Linda's parents. So on a normal day, this should be okay. On a normal day, this should be okay. I mean, he's the father of the child. So they moved to Calabar and life was beautiful. Everything was perfect. They went to the best school. He was providing, caring for them. Now remember, Linda's half sibling was 5 years old and Linda was 2 years old, right? So apart from, bringing different women back home every single night, Linda's father was doing an amazing job with them. And come to think of it, a single man living with 2 little kids, I guess he was always even bringing those women back home so they could help to care for these children, maybe to cook for them, stuff like that. That's what I'm assuming that, is the reason why he was doing that. So one day, Linda's father told both Linda and her half-sibling to get dressed, that they were going somewhere. Linda and her half-sibling, very excited, Daddy is taking us out. They got into the car. Their daddy drove them to a beach, surprise, surprise. It wasn't a fun trip like they assumed. They were at their father's wedding right there. And then their father got married before their little eyes. And they went home with a woman who is now going to be their stepmother. So this is where, the nightmare and the whole story gets more spicier, if I could say that, right? So so this is the end of part 1. I'm going to come back with part 2. But before we do, I want to know what you think. So far so good. What do you think? Do you think Linda's mother made the right choice? Do you think, considering how Linda's father didn't want Linda in the first place, and the whole drama, Linda having kwashiorkor, him refusing to provide for Linda, and then coming back to say, I want to move to Calabar with Linda. Do you think Linda's mom made the right decision? Do you think, she made the right choice by handing Linda over to her father to go to Calabar? I want to know what you think in the comment section, and then I will be back.